The Senate is holding a procedural vote today to advance Kash Patel's nomination as director of the FBI. Patel has drawn scrutiny from Democrats over his fitness. Some allege Patel has already directed a purge inside the Bureau from the outside. And he's accused of breaking protocol while he was at the National Security Council. CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns is on the Hill. Caitlin, is Patel's confirmation essentially a done deal?
It basically is, Lindsay. We have not heard from a single Republican yet who is going to oppose him. Now, we're obviously keeping an eye on Mitch McConnell. He's voted against 3 of the president's nominees so far and is kind of unencumbered by a leadership position or a real future now in Republican Party politics. But by and large, Patel had been one of the most controversial nominees that this president put forth, but we've really seen no Republican opposition to him. In fact, you had a Republican senator introduce him at his confirmation hearing, and you've really seen the party energized and galvanized around this choice. And Patel, as you mentioned in the lead-in, some of his past statements and what he's wanted to do, he has made no secret about the ways in which he wants to transform the FBI and get rid of a lot of the way of the things we're going there. But notably, Lindsay, his confirmation hearing was really interesting because he is a top Trump loyalist, a fierce Trump loyalist, but he also said during his confirmation hearing that he did not agree with the mass pardons of those who were charged with crimes on January 6th, including violent offenders. So a rare parting with Trump in his confirmation hearing, but by and large, one of his top allies for this key position.
What is the potential impact on the FBI?
Well, it's going to be huge. He is a non-conventional choice, has not come up from within the ranks of the FBI, is an outsider. This is someone and something that appealed to Donald Trump in selecting him. He wanted someone to come in to that institution and essentially take a sledgehammer to it. And it's kind of the centerpiece to this distrust that Trump and his base of support have with institutions. And so Patel has talked about a lot of, getting rid of what he called the tyranny within the FBI. And so you can expect a lot of those kinds of things to come.
I want to ask you about something else. What is the significance of President Trump's announcement that Ed Martin is his nominee to be top federal prosecutor in Washington?
Yeah, Lindsay, this is the office that was in charge of most of the prosecutions that we saw in January 6th cases. And the person that he selected, Ed Martin, is a person who was at the Stop the Steal rally the night before January 6th. He has also defended some of those January 6th defendants and served on a board that raised money for January 6th defendants. So the contrast there, couldn't be more stark. But that is also the reason why Trump had picked him. He is the interim in this position right now. He'll have to be confirmed by the Senate in order to fulfill this position. But this also speaks to kind of this conversation that we've been having about how Trump wants to put in people, loyalists at the top positions in the Justice Department and the FBI, as we just discussed. Ed Martin certainly is one of them. He's been criticized for being a political position in this top prosecutorial position, but someone who has been a top ally of the president and has repeated his false election claims.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you.